Well, hello, welcome to Digital Influence. I'm Dallas McMillan. Today I am interviewing LeeAnne, and LeeAnne Webster from Totally Telesummits is an expert in both strategy and technology of Telesummits. She provides a complete done-for-you service, and I'm really excited to have her on here today because Telesummits are one of the best ways to sort of build your list, build your brand, and position yourself as an influencer in an industry. There's also potential to develop products and even make some revenue when doing a telesummit. So they're a fascinating model for people who are moving into a new industry and perhaps just trying to get their foothold. LeeAnne, thanks so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And I have to say, I love the way you say Telesummit. It sounds so much better than the way I say it.
Terrific. So you have done an incredible number of telesummits. I think I read on your website it was 50 so far. Is that the latest?
Yeah, I think I'm up to, I just completed another one. So I think I'm officially at like 55 now, which is mind blowing.
Yeah, fantastic. That must just about be a record in the industry, actually. You must be really, I think, the producers.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I haven't seen anyone who's actually produced that many. So, because I'm always kind of keeping my finger on the pulse of what's going out there. So I've got a pretty good track record. And I do it across a variety of industries too, which is really fun. I've worked with everyone, worked with health coaches in the health industry. I've done business summits. I've done dating summits. I did one time on cetaceans, which is whales and dolphins.
Wow. That's great. Telesummits are really interesting to me, but I'm thrilled to have you on the show regardless, because your career path and your sort of lifestyle and business are typical, I think, of what a lot of the listeners to this show are interested in that you've come from a professional services background. You were a lawyer, and then you sort of migrated into marketing, and now you've got this this basically location independent business where you're the world expert at doing one thing, helping people sort of live their dreams and create amazing results through your coaching and telesummit strategy and production, and just this sort of the digital world as well as anyone I've seen. So well done. How does it feel now you've got this business that you've crafted over the years? What's it like for you now?
It's really pretty amazing. I have to say, I consider myself very fortunate. I'm fortunate to have kind of stumbled into this world and to have had both between myself and my own path, but also I had a great coach who really helped me understand the opportunity. And I don't know if I think you know this about me, I'm not sure, but I actually just finished a year-long road trip around the US. And that was my way of really putting the mobility of my business to the test and seeing if, what I had created, I could really literally take anywhere, which is kind of the dream that a lot of people have. And that was pretty amazing to literally, as long as I have internet and cell phone, I can take my laptop, I can get all my business done, talk to all my clients, and then go off and enjoy life. And it just gives you such a feeling of freedom. It's really incredible.
Yeah, fantastic. Good on you for getting out there and doing that. I know I've effectively got a location independent business. However, I'm very comfortable in my home and, just sort of knowing the internet's good and where the battery charges are and things like that. It's easy to kind of get stuck in our little comfort zone and to actually take it on the road as you've done and pursue another passion of yours, because you're also a marathon runner and triathlete, so you're a bit of a fitness enthusiast. So is that what took you on the road? Was it a fitness journey as well?
Well, it's interesting because the fitness journey actually brought me off the road. Because I'm with you. I was very comfortable. And part of the reason I took the trip was because I realized I'd spent all this time to build this business so I could work from anywhere, and then I never went anywhere. And so I did this trip, but I actually came back to Chicago, which is where I consider home, for the summer because I'm training for Ironman. And you have to be in one location to train for Ironman. So I could run everywhere, but triathlons are just too hard to take on the road.
Yeah, sure, I get it. Makes sense. All right, so Telesummits. Tell us, for the beginner, someone who hasn't really heard of Telesummits, what a Telesummit is, and some other names for it would be good too, and
Sure.
what it can do for you and why you might do it.
Okay. Well, I always like to call a teleconference or telesummit a virtual conference. Instead of traveling to a location and sitting in a hotel room and watching 20 speakers go up on the stage, you get to listen from the comfort of your own home, because they're pre-recorded interviews and they're released over the internet over a period of time. So interview series is another way I like to refer to it. And it's just much more convenient, both in terms of the host. It's less expensive. They don't have to rent the hotel room. They don't have to, worry about the schedules of the speakers. And it's much more convenient for the attendee because they can attend from anywhere. So that's the basic idea of it. There are three primary reasons someone would host a telesummit. One of the biggest ones is to grow your email list. So it works like this. You interview 20 experts in your field, and all of those 20 experts promote the event to their following, to their tribe on their email. They're sending traffic back to the registration page, and that's how the host builds their email list. That's like an obvious reason. The slightly more subtle reason, the pragmatic, that's a very brass tacks reason. One of the other key reasons is to position yourself as an expert, because the idea is, if you are interviewing all the top people in your field, you automatically kind of run in their circles, and the perception of the listener is, well, if she has access or he has access to these people, they must really know what they're talking about. So it's a way to elevate your status quickly. The softer side of that's not quite as obvious, is that, really, if you get on the radar of these experts, that's pretty powerful. So it's a positioning from an external standpoint, but I find the other real value in it is having all these other experts understand who you are and what you do, because they get asked questions like, who should I get to speak on X? So you get more speaking opportunities, or they send client referrals to you because now they know someone who does X, Y, Z, and it might be in a similar industry, but it might not be their exact skill set. So the kind of less obvious benefits to a host are, pretty cool things, I think. And if you continue to do the summits and you continue to build your reputation, you get access to better experts, you get better opportunities, you get more speaking engagement, and it just starts to really kind of leverage itself.
Yeah, fantastic. I see them as just being incredibly powerful for sort of moving you into the inner circle of your industry. So, for example, a lot of my clients and listeners, they've done things like being blogging or have a podcast or have written a book. They've sort of taken those first steps to building an influencer or expert brand. But, it's a big world that they're in, and within their little niche, people might know them, but outside that or in their client group, they won't be aware. But to be on stage with the 10 or 20 top experts in your field, and to have them promoting your event immediately says this is someone that you should be paying attention to. That they're an influencer, they're a connector in the industry. So yeah, absolutely powerful way to make a difference. There are some other elements. Did you touch much on the sort of revenue side of things and product creation? Because again, for people who are sort of starting out, that might be attractive in terms of monetizing their Telesummit and creating perhaps their first product from the Telesummit recordings.
Exactly. That's what, let's be really practical, right? We all want to make some money in our business. Nobody's in the business for charity. We can't pay the rent with our dreams and our hopes. So they're a great way to make money in a couple of different forms. So there's a short-term way to generate revenue off the actual event, selling the upgrade package, perhaps having sponsorships. But I find that the real impact is building that client base. So building the list of leads and then nurturing that list and really growing that community and building your business off of it in the long term. That's where you have, I think, the real impact to the bottom line. And a piece of that too is, as you said, creating product. So you do all these interviews, and then suddenly you have the package of the interviews. So now when you're creating, let's say, a group coaching program and you want to throw in an extra bonus for people who sign up, now you've got a product to do that with. So it has a lot of legs. I think just after it's an event that's contained and a lot happens, but you can do a lot to leverage it once the summit is done.
Yeah, definitely. And as a product, like the ultimate positioning once again, because you're on there on stage with the 20 experts in your field. So people are going to come into the program very pre-sold. It builds a lot of authority.
Yep.
And trust, and they kind of know who's who in the zoo, I guess.
Exactly. And you can even take, you have to make sure you get the rights to this in the contract, but you could take the audio recording of the interviews that you did and get those transcribed and turn them into a book. So you can, you can slice and dice it, or you could create like a special report out of it. There's all this content that you can use in a lot of different ways to leverage in your business. Pretty cool. For
sure. Another aspect which I find useful is anytime you're repeating an action, such as interviewing experts in your field in close succession, you just develop mastery over your field, because you start to see the patterns. If 5 people in a row say, "Oh, make sure you do this," that starts becoming something you notice. Whereas when it's spread out over time, for example, if you're doing a podcast, you don't necessarily pick those trends up. So it does build your sort of expertise in that field as well.
Absolutely. That's a great point. It's a great point. It's compact. And so for you as the interviewer, you're gaining a lot of information very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So really increasing your expertise. Tell us a bit more about the business model and sort of how it actually works for someone who's not familiar. So my impression is typically there's a sequence of interviews. They might be pre-recorded, but they're released in a short amount of time, which means that people can't necessarily watch them easily, which makes often that's offered free with an option to buy access to the recordings so that people can sort of get the ones they miss, and often bonuses and things as well. Tell us a bit more about that. It's sort of my potted version, but
yes, no, that was a great description of it. First of all, I do recommend recording in advance. I do not recommend doing live. Part of the way I got into this whole field was when I was looking to reposition myself in my business. I thought, oh, well, I'll host a telesummit. Like, how hard can that be? I like chatting with people. And so I thought, well, I don't know why they do these, pre-record these things. That's boring. I'm going to do a live show. And horrible idea, because you greatly increase your margin for error, and you have to make sure people know you meant Eastern time zone or Pacific, or they call in on the right phone. I mean, I luckily didn't have too bad of a mistake, but I mean, it was like I was having a heart attack every day with the process. So yes, pre-record, that's the big lesson for that. But yeah, what happens in terms of the business model is you pre-record these, you release them for 24 or 48 hours for free. So it's a nice way to give to the list that you're building, give them content for free, start to establish a nice relationship. But then you take them down. So it's a limited window. And then if they want lifetime access or they want to download them, you have a package where they can buy those recordings. And then I always recommend throwing in a few things to go with that package to up the value of it. And to also give you other opportunities to present your expertise. Because one thing that's interesting with the summit model is you are interviewing the experts in your industry, but you also want to make sure you're establishing yourself as an expert. And so that happens by someone interviewing you and by you offering something in that package that shows your expertise in addition to all the other people.
Okay,
so that's
terrific.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So tell us how it works for what's the model for the interviewees, so the guests? What's in it for them? So obviously they are going to hopefully promote, not necessarily everyone, but hopefully most of them will be promoting. So they're giving their list to you effectively, and then they are offering they're getting seen by new people who are in their niche. That's a bonus, but generally there's some sort of bonus with each speaker, isn't there, where if someone's particularly interested, they can sign up and then they go onto their list. So that's a list acquisition strategy for them.
Yeah, there's actually three main benefits to a speaker. One is that they position themselves as well in the industry, right? So they're on the panel
Yes.
with all these experts. They get positioned as being a leader in their industry. Secondly, for that package that we talked about that gets sold, you track the sales and the traffic that comes from each speaker, and they'll make 50% commission off of sales generated through their link. So the more they promote and the more they put it out there, the more potential money they can make directly. And then third, you're right, they should offer a free gift that will that requires the person to enter their name and email in order to get the gift, and that's how they grow their mailing list. So their big benefit is, they're going to get exposed to all the communities and the email list of all the other speakers. So they're getting in front of an audience they wouldn't normally get in front of. And then they're growing their email list, which again, if they're nurturing their list, then that should lead to clients and to revenue for them down the road.
Fantastic. So this, the success of this depends on your ability to find that overlapping niche so that you could find your prospective clients among the lists of other people with hopefully customer overlap, but not too much competition. But very often, say what you do, for example, when you become very expert and specialized, sometimes we want our own niche, but actually, if there's hardly anyone doing what you do, having competition creates the market. Potentially, for example, with Telesummits, the majority of people don't even know it's an option. So as you have more experts out there, it actually creates demand for what might be a boutique or niche product. So quite often being on stage with other leadership coaches gives that whole concept credibility, which otherwise it might lack. A lot of people might think, why would you get a relationship coach? But when you see a few with different perspectives, you start going, oh, wow, I see that, relationship coaching could really help me. Exactly. I like this one. So, that's one aspect that we often sort of avoid competition, but very often competition gives us context to create sort of credibility and meaning to our services.
Yeah, that's a great, I never have thought about it quite in that context before. And that's a really, really great way to put it. And, I think too, part of it just depends on the positioning that you come from. I come from a space of abundance instead of a space of competition. And I feel like my people are going to find me and they're going to want to work with me. And if I'm not for them and there's somebody else that's a better fit for whatever reason, then that's great. I'm not for everybody and everybody's not for me. So the more I can make people aware and see this as a model and see this as a really good way to grow their business, which I truly believe it is, then that's great. If it happens to funnel back to me, wonderful. If not, that's cool. There's plenty out there for everyone,
That's right. And so much of it is personal fit, rather than just say technical or product match. So, particularly something we're going to be working very closely with someone. Some people might respond very well to, almost micromanaging, whereas other people, need to be creative, free spirits. They're probably the ones who need to micromanaging the most.
That's right.
Getting that match right is critical to making the business relationship work, and often it is just a personality thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've fired a couple clients. and I've said no to a few people, and I've also said yes to people who, were just like, oh, such a match that, and those are the people who come back time and time again, and we have a great rhythm and it works really beautifully well. And that's why you start your own business, right? Is so that you can get out and love the people that you're dealing with and be excited to help them. Like I feel it with my clients when they have a great list build, I get excited for them, and that's what you want, is to have your day filled with people like that.
Absolutely. And really that's one of the benefits of a list build, particularly in this sort of personal style business, is that you're spoiled for choice. So you can pick the ones you like and who can pay and who have the resources, rather than having to pick between those or take someone with none of them just to pay the bills. So, having that abundant list, having your personality out there via Telesummits and other media, sort of interview style media, lets people get a feel for who you are and builds the list with the right people. So it's not just, it's not just numbers of
Right.
random email addresses.
Yeah.
It's people who've listened to you, they've said, yeah, look, if you're a guest, they've opted into your list deliberately.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really powerful strategy. And so how does it actually work if someone wants to come and work with you, LeeAnn? Can you give us a bit of a typical journey that someone would go through between hearing about Telesummit, seeing your website, and thinking, oh, maybe this could work for me. What would that look like?
Yeah, it's it's a pretty straightforward process. I always get on the phone. I always talk with all my clients before we ever get into logistics, because I want to know that there's that match energetically.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I want to know what their business is about. What are they doing? How does the business structured? Do they have a plan for what to do after the list? Why do they want to build the list? We will talk through all those things, because I quite frankly want to know if it's someone I can help. And there's plenty of times where someone comes to me and I say, you really got to work on your brand. You really got to work on the business model before we kind of go and grow the list. So we have a conversation. In that conversation, if it's all good, and it seems like it's a good strategy for them, then I just talk with them about my various packages and we're off and running. It's very simple.
Terrific. And so you help with both the planning and strategy. So I guess that's working out how it fits the business model, what they're trying to achieve, but also the technical implementation, because I guess a lot of people are scared of the technology and think that's the hard bit. And, of course, that's important, but it's, you can probably get that anywhere. But in many ways, getting the plan right is the difference between real success and failure in the whole venture.
That's exactly it. There's three primary areas that I work with my clients. So one is the strategy, and that is everything from what is in the banner to how to pick the right speakers, to how to position it, to what to include in that package, and kind of holding their hand through the process. The second part is that technical part that a lot of people don't want to deal with, and it's getting all the web pages up and connecting the email list and the shopping cart and making sure the right photo with the right link on the right day, and that the actual event runs smoothly. And then the third part is the speaker management. And this is a piece that not a lot of people think about, but it's where we take over when you get a yes, so that we're gathering the photo and the bio and the gift link from the speaker, but we're also making sure that they promote, because that's really, as we've been talking about this, right, that's really where the list growth happens, is if everybody is kind of playing the way they should. And so we will hold the speaker's hand through that process to make sure they're promoting, make sure it goes to the full list, make sure they have the tools that they need, and really everything we can do to build the list as smoothly as possible.
Fantastic. And I really want to sort of impress on people that with the marketing technology, it's rocket science. You need to know what you're doing, but there is a huge amount of just complexity management there, because even just setting up a simple sort of opt-in form for a single offer is difficult enough. But by the time you've got 20 in parallel and lots of overlapping things, it just must become, I can't imagine it. Like, I do this all the time. So that's a huge element, but actually the people management stuff is critical, and there is a huge personality aspect to getting this right. Some people are great at being able to ask people to do things that they're behind on and make it seem like something fun, whereas someone else just thinks, oh my God, I don't want to have to ask them. I've already mentioned it twice. And that really is the difference between success and failure. And LeeAnn told me before the call that she'd sort of ended up in marketing partly because of her personality, and it is key to sort of selling anything, getting people on board with events, making it fun. I think that's a big part of what you're providing. Yeah,
that, and the other thing too that I've learned after doing this so many times, when I think back about that first one that I did, when I thought, like, how hard can this be? I'm sure I'll get 5,000 people on my list, and the thing is, there's a lot of nuances to it that you don't know what you don't know. So there's a lot of things that I've learned by producing 55 summits or whatever it is, that I can shorten the learning curve because I already have been over it. And I can, tell you we need to do A, B, C, and just go do it. So that way it sets you up better to get better results. And so for anyone who's wondering, I can't believe I just sneezed on camera. Sorry. but if it's one of those things where you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, but I'm sure, gosh, sorry. There's going to be one more. I'm just going to warn you. There's probably going to be one more. I sneeze in threes. But for anyone who's pondering it or thinking like, yeah, I can hire a web person to put up a website. The thing is, with this platform, it's pretty specific, some of the things that you need to do. And so it's better to work with somebody who's done a number of them that can help you get on the right path much faster than you having to go learn it all yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And in many ways, the individual bits of technology are just no big deal at all. And there's all these off-the-shelf solutions, which makes it seem like, people always say, oh, what software are you using? And it's like, look, if you've got to ask that, that's the least of your worries, because that bit's actually pretty well catered for it. It's making everything work in concert, and then bringing in the human element, getting the consistent marketing message, making sure you've sort of got the hook that makes people even interested in the first place, and then having that event on the day, because you are creating a live event and an experience. That's what you actually need to pull off at the end. So
yes.
Tell us more about how you kind of create that event atmosphere, because that really is the difference between it being a Telesummit versus being a random collection of interviews. Right.
Well, part of it is, I think at the very, very beginning, just creating a theme and something that you can work around that's going to be really of interest to your audience. So it's not just a series of interviews about like growing your business. It's, having it pinpointed more, so you're addressing problems that your audience has and giving them solutions and helping them on the journey of it, instead of just kind of throwing information out. Another part of it is I always recommend having your promotional period set up so it's within a specific window, because that makes it feel a little bit more like an event. Like, if the audience is getting an email from a couple different experts, or they're on Facebook and they saw an ad about it, and then they went on Twitter and then someone tweeted about it, it starts to create that kind of buzz that there's something going on and there's something I need to be paying attention to, instead of just letting something be out there evergreen.
Absolutely. And people are driven to belong and be part of events. That's why sort of live events have remained so popular in spite of sort of predictions we'll all end up glued to our cell phone. There's actually been a resurgence in things like live bands and even live book signings and things like that. People want to go to something, they want to be part of an event. So that's a huge benefit a Telesummit has over, say doing a podcast or blogging or videos. And webinars sort of have it, but in a way the Telesummit lets you create the buzz. And I can just imagine people seeing a post on Facebook and saying, oh, I see you're going to this Telesummit. Oh, this should be great. And really there's that moment of judgment where they're going to say to each other, will this be great or will it be lame? And that's really where I see getting that professional advice from someone like yourself, and having a design theme and some sort of hook that's really relevant and topical is the difference between people saying, oh yeah, I saw that, I sort of don't have the time, or oh my God, I can't wait to go that. And because once you've got a few people who are in, then someone says, are you going? Oh yes, I'm going. I'll see you there. It becomes, you get the momentum, and that's kind of what we're trying to create there, which is kind of part of all marketing really, is to get people on the bus. So
exactly. Get them excited, get them wanting to interact with you, and I think it's really keying in on that message so people go, oh, I need some of that. Like that's exactly the problem that I'm having.
For sure. And you've themed your Telesummits. I've had a look over your examples. So, and for people who want to check LeeAnn out, she's got a website dedicated to Telesummits called TotallyTelesummits.com. So go there and check it out. LeeAnn has some a free gift and lots of advice and tips and resources that you should check out there. the Totally Telesummits guide, is that the one where you feature the different telesummits you've done with a bit of the banners and things like that?
Yeah, there's if you go on my experience page, you can see some of the different ones. I need to update it because we get so busy with doing all of the summits that sometimes I'm like, oh right, I need to update my own page with the with all the different events. But it'll give you a good idea of the breadth of summits. And I think it's kind of cool to look at, not only in terms of the experience, but just also I think getting your own mind going on, does this apply to me, or how would I apply it within the business that I have? And if you can see some of those different examples, it'll give you some different, maybe spurring some creativity for you. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, fantastic. So it definitely is inspirational, and if you haven't been involved in a Telesummit yet, definitely check this out just so you get an idea what they are. So this is totallytelesummits.com experience, and it's on the main menu here. I've just paused the video, but you've got banners here from some of the Telesummits that you've done, and I really detect a theme here. The host is featured in a photo, and to me, one of the big benefits, and I see this coming across on your whole site, it's about people, and that's part of what we're trying to build. We want to build that personal connection, that you're the anchor holding together that topic, and it just makes Telesummit such a great way to become the person in your niche for something specific. So I'll get you to talk a bit more about niching. We'll just have a bit of a look at this. So you've got some that are sort of in the transformational coachy type space, which I've seen lots of Telesummits in, but you've got some great sort of more professional services type ones. So these can be quite serious events. They can be fun events. They can be self-development. They can be hobbies. What's your favorite type of Telesummit to work on, LeeAnn?
Oh, no one's ever asked me that question. I love that question. It's interesting. I really, my favorites are usually more to do with the host than necessarily the topic.
Yeah, sure.
That Ready for the Right Guy that you see right there on the right with the woman in the green, Michelle.
Yes.
I love all my clients, and she's one of my favorites. We're actually working on Ready for the Right Guy 4. Just because,
right.
She came to me, she found me on Google a few years ago, and she's a breast cancer survivor. So she had spent obviously the prior year focused on her health and overcoming breast cancer and all that. And her business really had kind of fallen by the wayside because she was focused on her health. And there you go, Ready for the Right Guy. So when she came to me, she was like, listen, my business is kind of on life support, and I need to grow it, and I want to establish myself as an expert, and so I want to try Telesummit. And so that was a little over 3 years ago. Now she hosts this in January of every year. She interviews great experts. She's really established herself as an expert. She's gone from being relatively unknown to establishing herself as a fairly well-known dating expert. And she builds her private practice out every year at the beginning of the year, so she has steady revenue, and so she can kind of play during the year. She now has 15,000 on her email list, and she's got a sustaining business that that provides for her and her family. So I love working with people like her. She's dedicated. She's got amazing energy. She's wonderful at what she does, and she's just super sweet and amazing.
Fantastic. So I've got this up on the screen now. This is Ready for the Right Guy 3, and you said you're working on 4 already. So
4, yeah.
One of the trends with Telesummits is if you have a win, then of course you can do it again. So
yes.
Life is often about repeating what works rather than reinventing the wheel. But when you do it again, there's a bit of a different theme, isn't there? That's part of the theming with Telesummits, is often you can pick something topical or expand on an area that was sort of explored or was a hit last year.
Yeah. I mean, you always want to have a little bit of a different tweak to it. But what I think is brilliant about this summit as well is it's another great example of being really conscious of your niche and knowing what your client wants. So ready for the right guy. I don't even need to tell you that that's a dating expert, right? That her market is single women who want to be in a relationship with the right guy. So it's positioned really, really well. And we also do it in January of every year, because what we've learned is that in January, right, new year, that's when everyone wants to change their eating habits or their relationship habits, and they're very ready for change and ready to kind of absorb the information about how to not be lonely on the holidays again, you know, or how to make this year the year that they meet the right person. So it's positioned well and it's timed well.
Fantastic. Look, I think it's worth going through this page as an example, because it looks fantastic, and it just incorporates a lot of the elements that Telesummits are great for. I think it's worth pointing them out. So we've got a great banner that ties into the branding, and it features the host prominently. We've got a video straight away, so you get to make a personal connection, and there's an opportunity to opt in. And, you know, really, the event is primarily about conversion initially. Unless you can get people to sign in, then they're going to forget about it and go on to the next shiny thing. So we want to get people on the list to start getting involved. Then we've got some incentives to do so. So there's a free gift to join up. Lots of credibility with the experts having appeared on leading broadcast channels, and then some well-known experts in the space. So people who are familiar with this niche will recognize some of these names and think, wow, this is obviously an event to go to. You know, love this person. I'd like to see more of them. Whoever's organising this is obviously well connected, and you know, a good selection, and some new people, because the thing with our customers in these niches is the people who buy one thing tend to buy another. So, you know, for example, if I'd been a client of Patty Contenta, I doubt I'm in her niche, but if I'd been her client, then I'm likely kind of a loyal client, but it's very likely that I'd find other people here that I was interested in as a result of that connection. So we often fill up on one expert, and then we want to explore similar ones, you know, find the next one as good as they were almost. And Telesummits are a great way, you know, it gives you a bit of a smorgasbord to choose from in that space. So it looks like you work a lot with women on the whole, and I know you've got your website, The Busy Girls Guide to Business, as well. So on the whole, what sort of proportion of your clients would be women at the moment, LeeAnn?
Like 97%. I love men, and I never intended to really work with women. It just so happens that that most of my clients have been women. So,
terrific. And you know, in the summit space, a lot of them are women, you know, female oriented. I'm not sure whether that's just women are more likely to get together on events, or, you know, they're more likely to spend their discretionary income on online things than otherwise. But that's certainly a trend I've noticed, that there's that summits are very popular in the female expert category or the female lifestyle category. So something to look out for. If your ideal clients are women, it seems to be a hit with them. Yeah. And so returning to this, we've got some great examples here. You'll see the trends, and you can see the quality of production. To me, you need to have that quality, because people decide within seconds, is this going to be lame or is this going to be great? And even more so than with a website, because it's a social experience. You know, it's almost like people don't want to go to the bad band or the uncool party. So I think branding and positioning probably matter more in this space than if you're just trying to sell a widget or sell legal services or something like that. This is about fun. It's about the people. Any other secrets you want to share about successful Telesummits, LeeAnn?
You know, I think what you were just talking about is so key. That you know, when I first started doing these 3 years ago, there weren't quite as many on the market, and so you could kind of have what I would call an average event and still manage to grow your list fairly well. The market's gotten a lot more savvy across all industries, and so what I see right now is you need to be really focused on what niche you're serving, what problem you solve for your clients, and how you can present that in a way that will really grab their attention. So you can't do, I want to grow, show you how to grow your business. You need to do Black women millionaires, so people identify. It's not, how to find love. It's ready for the right guy. So it's much more targeted and specific and results oriented than other platforms.
Yep, terrific. And one of the trends, as I talked about before, was running repeat events. The Social Media Success Summit, I think it is probably one of the first ones I noticed in this space, put out by Social Media Inquirer. And they've got a different theme each time. So they sort of stay on topic, but each time they innovate a bit to keep it fresh and relevant, because otherwise you feel like, oh, look, I went to that last year.
Right.
So why go again? You've got to freshen it up and keep it topical and relevant, which ties in again to that sort of results orientation you need.
Exactly. Well, and especially because you want to show that you're savvy and on top of your industry, right? So you want to show that as the industry and as you as a professional have evolved, that your skills have evolved, your knowledge base has evolved, and now you can serve your clients and actually even serve the speakers and the interviewees at a different level, because you've grown and mastered, and you want to demonstrate that mastery.
Terrific, yeah. With just another note on the branding and sort of production quality that you need, something I'm really seeing is that branding and design quality has become important again. It just seemed like for a few years that, particularly in the internet marketing space, that the uglier the better, and it was almost like, well, if this dumb guy can do it with this terrible website, then I can do it too. And I feel we're sort of moving on toward where people are thinking, no, I want it to look nice. I want it to speak to my customers and convey quality. And I think that's always been important in the professional services space, but it just seemed like there's a bit of a trend toward, let's make it ugly on purpose for a while. And now we're getting back into, it should look nice, professional, and pretty slick, and communicate your brand. And that's sort of how I'd always felt it should be, but honestly, it just seemed like that was quite unpopular for a while.
Yeah, I totally agree that ugly was winning for a while, but it's interesting because I do think there's also that sweet spot that sometimes people want it to be this, big and like elaborate, kind of more like a web experience, and it does not need to be that. It needs to be clean and simple. Some of the best converting pages I've done are that model that you just saw. A banner across the top that has a few key elements, a video, an opt-in page, information on the speakers, and that's it. You don't need to have a lot of bells and whistles on it. People just need to understand what's happening and get drawn in, and then they register.
Yeah, and almost extra tech stuff, with moving parts and things, can distract from why they're there, which again is about the people and the opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. So, look, thanks so much for sharing your expertise on this, LeeAnn. Are there any sort of extra secrets or considerations? Or one thing I wanted to ask actually is, how do I decide if a Telesummit's right for me? So, if I'm thinking, I'd like to grow my list, and I could interview a few people, how do I decide if this is a good match for where my business is at? Are there criteria that you talk to people about?
Yeah, it's a great question. One is, I always recommend talking to somebody who's been through one or who produces them, so you can kind of bounce the idea off, because that will help. But definitely, if you want to be clear on your brand, you really want to know who your ideal client is and what service you offer to them. If you're unclear about your brand or your client, this is not a good platform for you, because what happens is you could produce an event and then it kind of ends up being all over the place, and you end up with a list that may or may not be who you want to work with, and it's just no good for anybody. So clarity on your brand, clarity on your ideal client, because that serves then how you position the event and who you draw in as speakers. And also clarity on your business model. This is one of the things I always talk about with my clients. are you building a private coaching model? Are you building a group coaching? Do you have digital products? Do you have live events? What is it that you're doing with your business? And how can we set this up in a way that will serve that? Beyond that, the key thing is if you have anything that's online or that's virtual, this is a fantastic way to grow your email list, because the key is the list. The money is in the email list. It's your only direct connection to your clients. It's the only thing that you control, and it's the only thing that is not at the labor or at the mercy of somebody else. All the social media platforms are great, but Facebook changes their algorithm, and all of a sudden you're seen by 10% of your people. Instagram, this just happened with Instagram. Facebook bought Instagram, and then they changed the algorithm, and suddenly people who had thousands and thousands of followers, who knew their followers were seeing their posts, all of a sudden it got wiped out, and they were being seen by a significantly smaller chunk. So it's the thing that you own, that you build, that is your direct connection. And so if you have a business that you need a direct connection to your clients, it's a great platform.
Fantastic. And to me, one of the real promises of Telesummits is if you get really clear about what you want to be known for, and you think, well, how do I ever get known for that? It's easy just to create a Telesummit around that, invite all the relevant people, have them speak on relevant things, and position yourself exactly where you want to in your market. So the Telesummit gives you a platform to, strategically decide what you want to be known for, surround yourself with industry players, get your message out there, and then build a business on that. So, ideally, you've already got some ideas of how it's going to feed into your business model. Perhaps you've written a book on it or are going to. And we haven't even really touched on the opportunities for content creation.
Yeah.
Writing books. You better talk a bit about that. So if we have a Telesummit, we've gone and created all this content, haven't we? What are some of the ways that people can leverage that?
Well, they have the actual interviews. So you'll have the recordings of the interviews as a kind of standalone. You can take those recordings, you can get them transcribed, you can turn those into a book. You could listen to the interviews, take the knowledge that you gain from all these experts and create a special report. You could take it, create a video series where you're kind of espousing what you learn. I mean, you don't want to copy someone's content, but if 5 of your experts, said something that you can kind of distill and turn out in your own way, then you can create a video series off of it, an audio product. You can teach a class off of that. You could write a report, write an ebook. The possibilities really are endless. It's really however which way you can kind of take that and figure out a way to reformulate it.
Fantastic. So if someone wants to learn more about how you can help them and get in touch, what's the best way to go? Should they go to totallytelesummits.com?
Yeah, totallytelesummits.com. I of course have an opt-in there. I've got a video on one key mistake that hosts make. You sign up for that. It's a video will come directly to you. And then there's an email that'll come that'll actually, when that email comes, you could actually hit reply to the email if you wanted to and just shoot me a note. And I answer all those. I get all those emails. And yeah, you could send me a note and say you want to talk. I'll send you my calendar link and we'll hop on the phone. It's really that easy.
Fantastic. Sounds terrific. And I'm sure there'll be people excited about Telesummits and looking to incorporate them in their business. Well, thanks. I really enjoyed talking to you today and appreciate your insights. Got a lot out of reading your website myself. With your business in the future, where do you see it going? What do you want to do with it next?
Well, it's an interesting point in my business. I've been now I'm kind of looking at how do I leverage myself, right? So because I love all my individual clients that I work with, and there's still only one of me and my team. So I actually just created a digital course, Total Summit Blueprint. And that's for people who want to kind of get my expertise and decide they want to go at it themselves, and take a shot at that. And then the other thing that I'm really looking at, the next evolution, is I help people build these lists, and then it's like, what do they do after? So now I'm really looking at, how do I help them nurture that list, and how do I help them continue the relationship that they started with the summit, so that they can continue to build their business and to grow their business, and not kind of look at it as just a standalone event. So that's what I'm really excited about, is helping my clients go to their next level as well.
Fantastic. And another thing I meant to touch on with this was, one of the things I love that you've done is that you've identified a specific single outcome and product that you can deliver that provides a transformative result to your client. It's going to take them from being just on the outskirts of their industry to being well known, well connected with all the key players, having a product, a big boost to their opt-in list, possibly revenue benefits. So you're providing this complete solution that's incorporating individual parts that you're already doing that work together. Because so many people come to me and say, oh, well, what do I want to be known for? Because I'm good at this, and I'm good at that, and I'm good at that.
Yeah.
And to me, the ideal solution is you work out a way they all come together, where you get to do all the pieces you love, but focus on a very specific outcome, and where those skill sets are used in a repeatable way. So you're not reinventing the wheel every time. You are delivering a complete result that would be very difficult to do on its own. I could liaise with 5 different web professionals to put on a Telesummit, and it would likely be a disaster, because it really is hard to get everyone on the same page, and it's hard to have everyone working toward a common goal when there's so many moving parts. So it's a perfect way where you can combine your expertise in different areas into a single focused outcome to produce something that's hard for someone to do on their own, or to outsource.
Yeah, well, it's so funny you say that, because when I met my business coach about 1.5 years ago, and at that time I was positioning myself, you saw that Busy Girl site, I was positioning myself as like a strategic coach, because I've got, I think, almost 20 years, I stopped counting that part, but almost 20 years of coaching experience, and I've got the marketing and the business development experience, and I'm very passionate about that, and I'm really good at helping people take kind of an idea and turn it into something. But I couldn't articulate that. People weren't hiring me for that. I couldn't figure out a way to make that sing, because it's so kind of nebulous. What can you help me with? I don't know. What do you need help with? And when I met my coach, I was on the side producing Telesummits. And doing it as a way, because I was good at it. It used a lot of my natural skills, and I kind of mentioned it to her as like this is how I'm paying the bills, basically. And she said, "Are you crazy?" She goes, "Why didn't you focus on that?" And I thought, I don't know, it seems so narrow. And she goes, "Yeah, but nobody does what you do. Nobody takes the strategy and the implementation and does it under the Telesummits." And when I stood back from it, I was like, oh my God, that's it. I'm a strategic coach. I just do it under this umbrella. So instead of me trying to find someone to understand what the heck I'm doing, I say, this is what I can deliver to you. This result of a Telesummit that will do these things for you. In the process of doing that, I use all of my background, all of my skills, all of my strategy. I have a ball. I'm doing what I love. It's just they needed a way to understand how to come to me. They needed the package to get it. Since I made that change and came up with Totally Telesummit, it's been a completely different world, and it's been an amazing journey. I'm forever grateful for my coach for kicking me over the head and saying, fantastic. It's so obvious.
It is so obvious to someone else, but like a general tip for people struggling to do this themselves is to figure out what are your clients actually trying to get done, and if a few of them are saying, well, I'm trying to put it on Telesummit, so I need this, this, and this, and you can identify that common theme, then that becomes the umbrella, as you say, to gather what otherwise sounds like a jack of all trades resume, where I do this, I do that, and I do that, and they're all awesome things, but lots of people would have half a dozen of those on their capability statement. It's
Right.
only when you can bring them together to create an outcome that no one else can that you really differentiate yourself. So yeah, great job there, and happy you found your path.
I know.
Well, thanks so much, LeeAnn. We'll wrap it up there. It's been awesome talking to you, and look forward to seeing more of your work in future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
Pleasure. Fantastic. Bye, LeeAnn.
Bye.